And a second later, a click sounds from the other end.
Hello? Isabella? Miss Cooper called earlier and...
Already 20 minutes in and we're already doing this. Hello, welcome to Letter. We're not gonna carry on this intro. We're just gonna continue right on where we were. With, I believe, Rebecca. Yes, Rebecca. This is how it begins, or so they say. With a gentle wind drifting through open wide windows, muffled laughter, footsteps fading behind empty hallways, and the light kiss of the afternoon sun. Soon, there will be a call, a crossing of thresholds into the unknown. Maybe we are off to some grand adventure or diving into another gripping mystery. One can't really tell for all I know. A hero might even come sweep me off my feet if I'm lucky.
That's not exactly a bad thing when you think about it.
But this is far from one, isn't it? A riveting tale, that is. The mild breeze, the faint murmurs, the warm rays painting every nook and cranny a fiery hue, they're all as real as they can get. As much as I want to write a little tale out of this, I'm far from someone who can. Fleeting fancies, that's what these are, merely passing thoughts to occupy an idle mind while waiting for another busy workday to end. And again, maybe in another life I am one, who knows? But at present, what I have and what I've chosen to be, well...
I won't last years here if I find teaching rowdy adolescents a tedious job, will I?
I forgot that she was a teacher. Admittedly, the whole affair isn't exactly as grand or exciting as I had imagined as a child. If I weren't so stubborn or too passionate about the whole idea, I probably would have quit a long time ago. But it's always the kids that make it worthwhile, isn't it? As if in agreement, as soon as my pen slides into a neat circle and gets the papers I'm grading, the final bell rings. Like a dam that is open, the students begin piling out into the hallway soon after. For a short minute, I let the noise fill my ears, let my mind wander to a place far removed from all the hubbub. Solitary moments like this have come few and far between. Even my own home, it hasn't been as quiet as usually I prefer. Though in hindsight, the entire place hasn't been the same either since Isabella moved in next door. And if her fussing over a minor cold last week tells anything, might as well throw any idea of solitude out the nearest balcony as long as she lives nearby. At the memory, my eyes automatically shift over the bottle sitting at the edge of my desk. Chuckle escapes from me as I reach for
A
it.
little ball of energy and enthusiasm. That big baby.
Mother hen, she calls me, and then she says and does the same thing right after. It's not like I'm unused to being on the receiving end of other people's worries, or I feel any sort of apprehension over her fretting. Okay, so this is starting after Isabella comes to see her in the first part. If I am to be completely honest, it's actually amusing how someone can be childlike one minute then act like a responsible adult the next. But there's a dissonance there, both in her actions and words. Although she may not look like it, may not say anything, may not lose her cheer one way or another, I know these troubles have weighed down on her lately. Her face is it all that big numpty. If she thinks I won't notice, she's got nothing coming for her. That's how she always has been. I do understand that part loud and clear. It's just that I'd really rather not pass another burden on to her.
Or become one myself.
Aren't I supposed to be the one taking care of them? No, I guess that's simply one of those things people eventually grow away from once you've all started leading different lives. Like completely different, I hope. Somehow that thought makes me feel uneasy. Thankfully, before strange ideas can take root in my head, a faint buzzing comes from my back, cutting through the rest of my thoughts. A small frown forms on my lips when the screen lights up and an unknown number flashes. For a long second, my thumb hovers over the answer button. Even the voice that responds once I do accept the call is wholly unfamiliar.
Hello?
Ah, goodness. Finally, it connects. Hello? Is this Miss Gales? Rebecca Gales?
Yes, speaking. Who is this?
Oh, sorry. Rose Cooper. Briar Realty Corporation.
R.I.P. Rose. remember what happened.
Briar Realty?
My frown deepens as I strain for my chair. Something in her tone, despite sounding remarkably friendly and light, doesn't quite sit well with me. The rigid pause that follows doesn't help ease the tension that's suddenly descended either.
Miss Cooper?
Yes. Things are a bit busy on my end. I apologize. I'm not certain if Isabella has mentioned anything before, but we're working together on a property at the moment, and
The Armengard Mansion, yes. She said something about that earlier. Is there a problem?
this is about Isabella, actually.
She wastes no time relaying everything. The details she provided are admittedly a bit vague, but enough for me to get a gist of what happened. It isn't the bad sort of I'm expecting, though still worrying, especially with the words panic attack and pill looking a bit sickly woven together in one foreboding sentence. Okay, so this is after her finding the letter and all that stuff. But as quickly as the services, I stumped down the urge to demand answers right then and there. Now isn't the proper time for useless questions. I find out soon enough regardless. To Miss Cooper's credit, she neither hesitates nor falters all throughout. There's some sort of comfort in knowing Isabella has someone like her to guide her, though not as much as I would have liked. After all, this is Isabella we're talking about. What are the chances she just had a bunch of excuses so she wouldn't get sent home? High. Very high. Oh, she's so going to hear this.
You were listed as one of her emergency contacts, so I thought it'd be best you know about this.
Oh, is this right? Oh, is she at the mansion right now?
How is she? Is she doing okay?
I had her take a break for now, but
After the
honestly,
break.
I'd feel better if someone were to pick her up and take her home for some rest. Anthem's a fair distance from Luxborn. I really don't want her going off on her own. I did
Yeah.
myself, but well, you know how it is today. Big day. People everywhere until the open house ends. I'm really sorry to ask this of you, Miss Gales. I know you're busy.
Oh, no, it's all good. I was just about to leave from work. I hope to leave early today anyway. A few minutes ahead wouldn't hurt. I can be there in a few, 30, 40 minutes tops. Is that all right?
More than fine, Miss Gales, thank you. We're supposed to be here until... Oh, excuse me. One moment, please. Yes, ma'am.
The hum of conversation echoes from her end. It sounds as though the place is buzzing with more people than you expect from a regular open house. I'm skeptical at first. The house is old, not to mention its inconvenient location in Luxburn's outskirts. Who wants to live in a place almost an hour's drive away from the comforts of the city? But from what little I can hear, it appears Isabella has every right to be optimistic about this sale. If I didn't understand why she was so adamant refusing my offer to help before, I think I do now. To some degree.
We'll be resuming the tour soon. Yes, thank you. Sorry about that. I really need to get this thing going. Lord knows how I'll salvage the situation here. It shouldn't be anything complicated, but still, clients. They can be difficult when they want to be. Anyway, just look for me when you get here, alright? I shouldn't be too hard to miss.
No problem. Thanks for letting me know about this. Just make sure Isabella stays put, please. Heaven knows how stubborn that
Yes.
girl can be.
Yes.
Oh, believe me, I know. Don't worry about it. I'll have a few of our staff keep an eye on her for me until you get here.
Rose and Rebecca can have some kind of connection through talking about Isabel.
That's all I'm asking. I appreciate it.
The whole thing ends on a surprisingly pleasant tone. If only the same can be said for the news she brought. I allow a brief minute to pass, ease whatever tension has latched up firmly into my nerves. But no matter how much I wish for it, my mind stubbornly refuses to do so. My hands are unsteady against the papers I pretend to arrange after. Lucid thoughts, every single ounce of it grimmer than the other, grows with each passing second I linger, and something about this whole thing, along with the sudden unease and nagging worry, screams off. Wrong. This isn't the riveting tale I'd hoped to slip into today. Even on a rush, getting everything in order for leaving takes nearly a good quarterly hour. By the time I make it out of the classroom, the commotion has already died down, dwindling to mere echoes and distant laughters. From the nearby room, melodies from a rehearsal band drifts freely into the air, filling the almost empty hallway with their warm, lively tunes. Any other day, I'll stop basking in the music and enjoy what little peace it brings. That's a day over. My steps are brisk and sure as I march to Edward Hall's exit. The sooner I confirm Isabel's okay, the sooner I can shake off this niggling feeling. For one reason or another, that single call of all passable things, I was throwing everything off kilter. I'd rather this be over with as quickly as possible. So much that I nearly barrel over a student in my haste. Though perhaps it's really the other way around. No, that's the girl from Zach's story. What? I look down, a set of eyes, bright and hopeful, stare back at me. Her arms are wrapped around my waist like a vice, and at my attention a grin spreads over her face.
Buenas tardes, Miss Pink.
Hello, Kylie. You know, you aren't supposed to run into people like that.
Sorry, Miss Pink.
I can't help but think about that face, that when she was sort of possessed. She loosened her hold on me, but not a hint of guilt or regret appears on her. If anything, it seems that remarkably amused her. A smile appears on my face before I can help it, finding the one on her own.
Just remember not to do it again, all right? You could get hurt.
You sound like my mama when she's scolding Rowan, Miss Pink.
I'm sure your mama only means well. I know she'll be worried sick if one of you were to get hurt. Where's your brother anyway? Aren't you two supposed to be heading home now?
Rowan said he's got some stuff he needs to do before we go. I think he's taking too long. But he promised to buy me jelly babies today, if I keep what he's doing a secret from Mama and Papa.
Any chance you'll tell Miss Pink about it?
She shakes her head, both her hands going to her mouth as if to keep a precious secret from spilling out.
I made a promise. He said it's for Tia Luke.
Oh, something like a gift?
Like a deal. Tio promised to take him somewhere cool when he's old enough. Rowan's gonna prove he's a grown-up.
Laughter slips free from my lips. The teacher in me wants to give whoever this Tio is a reprimand for bringing about this kind of behavior in children, but both Suarez kids are so fond of him. There shouldn't be anything to worry about, yes? At any rate, they're nothing but well-behaved, both Kylie and her brother. Rowan, the oldest, may have an occasional ostrich in and out of class, but their parents taught them well, and see no reason to cast any suspicion of bad behavior on them.
As long as it isn't anything dangerous, all right?
It's not. Cross my heart. My drawings are a lot prettier than what he's doing anyway. Tio said so. Do you want to see? I drew one earlier at class.
Is that why you're here?
Not really. I was gonna show it to my friend first. But since it's you, I'm sure she wouldn't mind if you see it before she does.
Oh no. I can't stay right now, Kylie.
Her face falls immediately after the words are out. Some part of me feels responsible for that crestfallen look, but as much as I want to stay a little longer, there's another place I need to be at right now. And frankly, another child to look after. Taking both her hands, I kneel in front of her and much the most rueful smile I can give. At her age, I'm quite sure she already understands what I'm about to say before they're even out. But remarkably, she doesn't look away or pout as I'm expecting her to.
I'm sorry. You know what? Rowan has a class with me on Monday around this time. Why don't you drop by again next week? After class? I'll even make sure to wait for you. It's just that I absolutely must leave now. My friend had an accident earlier, and I'm the only one she has here.
What about her mama and papa?
Well,
Her family lives really far from here, I'm afraid. Do you remember where Asia is? The southeast part? That's where they are.
her eyes immediately light up at my question. Just like that, I know I've earned the girl's forgiveness.
Oh, just like Takako.
Who?
My friend. She said she used to live there, only just a little higher than southeast. But she hasn't come home in a long time, so she doesn't remember much about it anymore. Melody says it's weird I talked to her, but I think she's just shy. They could be good friends too. Don't you think so, Miss Pink?
No.
Maybe if you introduce them properly, they will be.
That's what I think. Takako's She's just lonely. If she makes more friends, she won't be anymore. Is your friend like that too?
A little, possibly. To be honest, sometimes I can't tell with her.
After all, Isabella has always been the kind to hold a smile even when things have taken a turn for the worse. Oh yeah, she has. 5 years and one will think it's enough time to know a person. But when you consider it, couldn't think of it. All these years I've never even once seen her cry. Not over a trivial matter or even when things are tough.
Okay, you can go to her. I'll just show you my drawing next time.
Thank you. Remind me to buy you a huge glass of parfait, all right?
No, I'll get a stomachache. Chicago says so. A small one is okay.
She's still
I'll
wonderful.
remember that. Say hi to your friend for me.
I will. I'm sure she'd love to meet you too. See you, Miss Pink.
I'll see you later, Kylie.
London Bridge is falling down, falling down, falling down. London Bridge is falling down, my fair lady.
Okay. Just once? Okay. She doesn't look back or wait for any sort of goodbye from me. With a song and an extra spring in her step, she bounds across the corridor with as much spirit only a child her age can have, as if the conversation never taken any downhill turn for her at all, as if there isn't a single thing to worry about in the world. Not long after, she disappears behind a door, leaving behind strains of an old familiar rhyme lingering in the air. Carefree, unbidden, untroubled moments like this, I envy her. And as I resume my hurried pace, a tiny whisper in the back of my mind wishes the same can be said of myself and my own worries. Luxbourne may be a small city, but it's no stranger to hellish rush hour traffic. But surprisingly, getting out of the city today provides more of a breeze than a hassle. A relief considering how none of my calls to Isabella have made it through. Even the reception's either the reception's really bad over there, or she's ignoring them on purpose. Both does nothing to ease the disquiet in me. There's my drive past without much incident as soon as I'm out the busy streets. In less than 30 minutes, the mansion looms ahead of me. For all the fuss but Isabella made by the house, it remains a thing of beauty. Unlike Luxbourne, the estate in a nearby Anselm village stands as its complete opposite, living and breathing the songs of the old, whispers of a once blooming haven lingering in the air. Contemporary conveniences aside, it's a place I'm glad modernization hasn't wholly touched.
It's just a shame the locals know more of the silly hearsay than the history itself. If I could only knock some sense into these people!
Sadly, complaining is all I can afford to do. As much as I want to give them a piece of my mind, it isn't why I'm here. I don't think these rich guys would appreciate getting a lecture from me either. I have as much business with them as they have with me. With a heavy sigh, I give myself one last second to take in the scenery before heading up the main entrance. Most of the guests are already heading out. Though some still linger, it's mainly just to take photos of the house's facade or its various rooms. Pause for a moment, scanning the small crowd gathered at the foyer, looking for any sign of that familiar ponytail among the sea of hats and heads.
No sign of her.
No sign of the other staff or Miss Cooper either. I can certainly look for Isabel on my own, but in a place this big, I'd be lucky if I didn't end up lost or find her before we need to meet with Zachary and Ash tonight. Sighing, I reach for my mobile and redial our number, the gesture familiar now after so many attempts earlier. If she doesn't answer, I can still try contacting Miss Cooper. I dread the network reception will cooperate the sound doesn't sound like it is. This side of the county has never been popular with the tech savvy after all. To my relief, it only took 3 unsuccessful tries. On the 4th one, right as it's about to switch to another intercept message, the line finally rings. Silence follows while I wait for her to pick up, the ringing going far too long for my taste. By now, most of the visitors have already cleared out. All I have for company are the faint murmurs and an eerie calmness left in their wake. The sun settles and gives way to noises louder than they're ever meant to be. Doors creaking and slamming shut in some distant part of the mansion, floorboards groaning under the sheer weight of the house's history. In the now empty hall, they all reverberate with special clarity against the walls. Like these old stories seem to almost have a ring of truth to it. I don't get too straightforward into that ugly line of thought, however. And a second later, a click sounds from the other end.
Hello? Isabella? Miss Cooper called earlier and...
Already 20 minutes in and we're already doing this shit. I heard that.
Isabella? Belle? Are you alright?
Without any warning, the call gets cut off. Busy notes blare sharply against the heavy silence. But above the noise, cutting through the mute air, remains the faint cries of a woman far beyond the foyer. Oh, I hear it. Do you hear it? My hand falls to my side as I cast a wary look around, waiting for someone to come running. Surely I can be the only one hearing there, right? There must be some staff hanging around checking things out, but no one does. Not even when her sobs turn more frantic in anguish.
Excuse me? Hello? Who's there? Isabella? Isabella? Is that you?
No answer. Growing anxious, I amble over where her cries come from, each step slow and cautious towards the door on the other end of the room. While I am far from someone who readily gives in to fear or stories lacking factual basis, the vague, restless feeling I had earlier immediately returns to me. Despite myself, my heart begins to race and my breathing quickens.
Belle, it's me. Miss Cooper called. Is everything okay?
Abruptly, all of it stops. My whole body tenses, mouth dragging in a ragged breath, ears straining for any other sound yet to come from the other side. Nothing follows. Instead, the quiet only lends itself to the heavy tension in the air, as if every small movement will disturb the fragile stillness hanging in the room. I wait for another second, and with caution I'd reach for the knob. My fingers barely graze the brass handle when a hand falls on my shoulder.
Excuse me, ma'am? I am
Oh.
so sorry. I didn't mean to startle you.
Rose?
No, it's...
Still reeling, my gaze shifts back to the door, as if any second now the cries will start again. Whoever's inside will burst out of the room. But I don't get to dwell on these. The woman's worried voice breaks through the haze in my mind again, oddly soothing in the thick of the unease. Even if my concerned look comes from a total stranger, finally being in the company of someone else is somehow comforting.
Ma'am? Are you okay?
Oh, no, I'm fine. This is probably just some cold.
Do you need to sit down?
No need. I'm actually looking for a friend.
I wave the mobile in front of her like the gesture alone explains everything. Vaguely, I note the tight grip on it and quickly slip into my pocket before she notices. She doesn't need to know.
Well, I'm not really sure if your friend would still be here. We're actually about to close the open house in a few minutes, ma'am.
No worries. She's not a guest here. She works for Briar Realty. Miss Cooper called me earlier. In fact, I'm also looking for her.
Recognition flashes in her eyes, and her worried expression dissolves into a smile at once. I only need to know that I don't have to look elsewhere or venture deeper into the mansion on my own. In some ways, I'm not too keen on the latter right now.
Oh, Miss Rebecca Gales, is it?
Yes. Sorry if I'm a bit late.
It's not a problem. I was busy with the open house and a few clients anyway. It's actually a good thing you came when you did. Let's see. Isabella should be here somewhere. I told her to stay put earlier. That girl never listened.
Rose? Rosie? May I have a minute? There's just this one little thing before we go.
Oh, there's Hannah. Miss Cooper's head immediately snaps up at the voice. And a blank, a different kind of smile spreads on her face. A smile still friendly, even, but the kind given mainly for the sake of pleasing other people rather than making friends.
Yes, ma'am. I'll be there in a few.
It's an impressive thing, to say the least. The level of professionalism. I suppose working years in this kind of business trains you enough to be able to pull that off without batting an eye. It certainly doesn't seem to have rubbed off on Isabella, though.
Sorry, could you give me a second? I have to take care of this.
Don't worry about it. I understand. I can wait a few more minutes. Clients, right?
You won't hear anything from me. Priorities, you know? But if you want, you can stay at the parlor in the meantime. I think we have a few refreshments left.
No, thank you. I'm going out with a few friends after this. Isabella's supposed to join us too. But that depends on how
Congrats, the
she's
movie.
doing, of course.
That movie.
All right, this won't be long, I promise.
Those began an apologetic look before sauntering over to the small group gathered at the entrance. A couple are siblings and another woman, probably their secretary. Either way, they look no different from the other guests, other than primly dressed, albeit in a manner significantly simpler than the others. No frills, no extravagance in any form, but their gestures and movements alone speak volumes of their ingrained lifestyle. In their presence, I do what I can to appear inconspicuous on my side of the foyer. Maybe attempting Miss Cooper's offer would have been a much better choice than standing around awkwardly and gaping at them, while also attempting my best not to listen in on their conversation. Although that one proves more difficult with how enthusiastic the blonde woman is, her voice easily echoes through the walls with only the five of us here. Pretty soon I found myself being drawn into their talk without meaning to.
Tomorrow? First thing in the morning?
First thing in the morning, ma'am.
Mundane talk isn't what catch my attention, however.
Very well. We'll have our lawyers prepare everything as soon as possible. Let's make this whole thing easier for everyone, shall we? Just let me know if there's anything you need from me.
Who the fuck?
You know how to contact me, yes?
Got your mobile number saved here already.
Good. It's just a matter of time then.
It's a brief moment, a fleeting shift of my
One
eye.
day for us, Marianne.
As long as you're positive, we won't be having any problems by that time. You can count on my team.
You worry too much. Let me handle those things. Do be thrilled, though. I imagine it's not every day you get projects like this,
And the instant I turn my gaze on them, I see it.
Oh, I'm certain Mint's ecstatic, Buttercup.
You
Aren't
saying-
you, Marianne?
Are you
You
saying-
know, we could all celebrate this with a few drinks. Why don't we? In fact, there's this really excellent Irish pub I visited a few days ago.
Really nice blonde bloke, as we should call him blonde bloke, looming, hovering over his shoulders, drawn to him like a moth to a flame, a dark blur, no, a shadow.
I think I'll pass on that, sir. I have more important matters to attend to.
Darling, your liver.
Oh, the sound.
You already had a glass today, and apparently a few days ago as well. How many times do we have to remind you? Doctor's orders, remember?
What a shame. You never let me do anything fun.
Huh. But as I try to make sense of it, a heavy feeling descends over my whole body. It happens without warning, forcing me to close my eyes. The sensation creeps to every part of me, crawling under my skin and draining me little by little of any strength. Before I knew it, my hands gripping the nearby door for support, the sudden nausea drowns out their voices and what little sound there is, all except for the whispers and laughters, judging, mocking, taunting. Muffled, inaudible words bearing down on me like a death sentence. They wrap around my neck and limbs, binds tightening with every syllable, every utterance. And with each draw of breath I take, they drag me down slowly, almost painful, into the bottomless abyss, on and on and on, till the sounds turn to mere distant echoes. Suddenly it shatters.
Well, what are we waiting for? Are we done here?
His voice rips through the fog like a sharp blade, and my eyes snap open. When I look to them again, it's gone.
Just a second, darling. Send my regards to Isabel, please. Poor girl. Please let her know she doesn't have to worry and tell her to get some rest. Anyway, we're looking forward to seeing you tomorrow.
Likewise, ma'am.
No shadows or dark clouds, only amicable smiles and cordial handshakes, the usual pleasantries as Miss Cooper leads them out the mansion like a graceful host. None of the group seems to have noticed it, and even as I force my breathing to calm down and keep my eyes trained on their backs and wait for something to happen, it doesn't come back. She returns a moment later. Gently, she closes the great pillars behind her, but there's a smile on her lips and an extra skip in her step, and she walks back to me. Whatever she was discussing with the group had put her in a good mood, even she appears to have not observed anything odd. Was I just seeing things?
Glad that was over. It's been a long day. I thought for sure we were going to. Hey, are you sure you're doing okay? You look a bit green.
Like your hair?
It's all good. I'm actually still recovering from a cold. Weather's been crazy lately.
That must be it. Whether the stupid cold and the friendly warnings I'm too stubborn to listen to. As much as I hate to admit it, Isabella's right. I was and still am a little feverish. When she visited me at school this morning, the medicine helped, of course, but only some. Although it's not like I can't function, I did get better after lunch, and I was able to go through my schedule like the usual. Now I'm not so sure. However, I can't keep acting like I've seen some sort of apparition when it's not anything but. So I must have listened too many times to Isabella last week. My fever-muddled mind has started to confuse things. This doesn't let up into another visit to my doctor, plain and simple. Though I do hope it won't get worse. We did promise to watch Zachary's film together.
I know what you mean. I've been complaining to Isabel. It doesn't seem to affect her much, though. Must be because she grew up in the tropics. Anyway, shall we? She's probably hanging out with the rest of the catering staff.
Oh, I wouldn't be surprised she's there. She eats like 10 hungry men when she isn't feeling well. Lead the way.
This one suggested for me to follow. I do so without much thought, finally putting everything in the back of my mind. The entire visit took a whole 24 minutes, and my trip to the mansion, as it turns out, is a useless endeavor in itself. Isabel's no longer there. It was left shortly before I arrived. Or at least that's what the few staff who saw her assumed. None of them knew where she went, but I can take a few guesses. There are only a number of places on Luxburn she frequents, and while she's never been the complex kind, it doesn't really take a genius to figure it out. So it's not she left her own. I could have at least waited for Miss Cooper. It would have saved her having to pay the cab's fare twice today.
And right after she was told to stay put! I mean, who does that? Oh, sod off! You don't own the road!
In the end, all Miss Cooper could give me were a string of apologies for my trouble and a request to let her know when I find Isabella. The whole affair doesn't even last long. I probably spent more time traveling back and forth. Soon enough, I'm moving my way back to downtown Luxburn, worried sick, and on top of that, maybe a little annoyed. Whether at the unexpected turn of events or at Isabella herself, I'd rather not think about it for now. Not when I'm already running late for Zach's film. Besides, I'm perfectly fine. I'm sure that's where I'll find her. Everyone would expect people are already gathered at the movie house when I get to it. The small avenue where it's located has been closed off early from any passing traffic to make way for the avid moviegoers who are sure to crowd the venue. I have to park almost a street away and walk the remaining distance because of it. Looking for them has taken a while in a crowd this big, but I eventually spot them near the entrance. Thanks to Zachary, mostly. And like I surmised, Isabella's with them.
I knew it.
Wasting no time, I march over their little group. Words filled with concern tumbled out of my mouth before I can stop them.
Isabella! Oh, thank goodness!
Becca, you're just in time.
An odd expression crosses her face as I hold it with both hands, but I ignore it in favor of getting a good look at her, forcing her to keep still and fix her gaze on me.
Becca, you're squishing my face.
How are you? Are you all right?
Why wouldn't I be?
There doesn't seem to be any visible injury, nor does she appear to be in pain. Apart from her confused frown at my question, she looks pretty much like how she would any other day. Even so, you can't really tell those things with her at first glance. The last time she got sick, she never bothered calling anyone, even me, who lived right next door. If I hadn't checked on her, then she probably would have died on her bed with the rest of us none the wiser. It's one thing we laugh about now, but the moments like those also teach you something about a person. If anything, it has given me more reason to constantly worry about her. And the moment a familiar name comes up, I know my concerns right now are completely baseless.
Rose called me earlier.
Her expression swiftly changes, and gently as she can, Isabella pushed my hands away. And even before she says anything, I already have a hunch this whole thing will play out.
Oh, no, everything's good. Rose covered for me at work today.
That's not what I'm talking about. How's your head?
Then and there, the whole conversation goes down as I've imagined. She dodges my hand when I reach for the back of her head, intending to check this head injury myself, even making a show of hiding behind Zachary just to avoid me. Instantly, what's supposed to be a simple inquiry dissolves into a shameless game of tag. Treading and chasing like none of us can be bothered to act like the full grown-up adults we are supposed to be, including Ashton. I wouldn't put it past Isabella, but Ash out of everyone? In fact, if the stupid smirk on his face tells me anything, he finds this whole mess amusing. Oh, for the love!
Isabella, this isn't a laughing matter.
She did look pale when I saw her.
Wow, thanks a lot, Ashton, you traitor. I'll get you back for this, just you wait.
What? I'm just saying it as it is. If you mentioned this earlier, we wouldn't be having this conversation right now.
He's right. There's a moment's pause. My hand still midair as my attention shifts to Ashton and the words he leaves hanging between the four of us. He doesn't meet my eye. I don't think he's even aware of what he said. But the meaning of each syllable alone is clear, and they echo. They sting. They burn.
I'm sorry. Saw her?
Yeah, they arrived together. Bella looked fine to me then. I don't know.
Of course. Why else would Isabella leave on her own after being told to stay put, after that little chat about money this morning? Something close to silence falls while I mull over their words, both what's already been said and what's left unspoken. And I do find my voice only reeks with nothing but bitter, unpleasant thoughts. Thoughts that quickly snap out before they surface. Thoughts I hid the best I can at the deepest part of my mind, locking it away for no one to see.
Oh, that's good. At least she didn't have to travel alone, right? At least. Good.
A little jealous? Yet try as I might, the green-eyed monster easily rears its ugly head. Like Garrett always does every time his gaze lingers a second longer. Every time he smiles in a manner far too gentle, far too sincere whenever he thinks no one can see. Every time my mind suggests his words mean more than they should, every small little thing, despite what he says, despite his tone.
Look, you guys.
For all I know, it may just be the same kind of fondness born from friendship. Maybe I'm simply overthinking, like he often tells me, or maybe there really is something there. But in a short display of impatience, I know the whole of it is just for show after all. Growing up together with him didn't teach me nothing about him. For whose sake is it this time, though? For him? For Zachary? For her? Or for me? That I can't tell.
If she says she's okay, then there's nothing we can do about it. It's not like we can stop her either. Besides, she's still acting like the same old Isabella to me, if she can still run around like that.
Why are you taking her side?
I'm not. But if she wants to watch Zach's movie with us, I'm not going to stop her. She's probably the one looking forward to it the most.
Ash, that's... You, of all people, should know...
Tell you what, if I notice something amiss with her, I'll take her to the nearest hospital myself. Is that good enough for you?
My mouth opens and snaps shut almost as quickly, forming a thin, hard line instead. Can't respond, not because there's nothing to say. On the contrary, there's so many things I could use to reason and get him to agree. Because he speaks with much certainty, with much reassurance. It feels like there isn't any right choice. All I can give is a long, deep breath and a reluctant nod in the face of it. Before I can get a grip of myself and my own weakness, the mood immediately shifts and I'm being tackled into a hug.
Thanks, Becca.
It's always been you with him, isn't it?
Oh, she's definitely jealous.
Did you say something?
Me? Nothing. Don't mind.
Oh, sorry. A lie, obviously. What else can I be? Each and every smile, a tiny effort to keep things as they are, so I tell myself. Little do I know, this is merely a preamble. Starts out quietly and without fanfare, amidst friendly jibes, almost teasing with a scrap of paper fluttering harmlessly to the ground. Ah, son of a bitch. One that looks suspiciously like a cheap Halloween prank no matter how you look at it. And yet, despite how ludicrous it all is, Isabella stubbornly insists as if our whole life depends on acknowledging the truth of her story. Does she even realize how absurd she sounds now? Privens, even my students wouldn't fall for this.
Isabella, aren't you taking this a bit too far?
She doesn't give me time to regret, nor think over my choice of words from there. It escalates, grows into an argument too petty for even too petty even for our standards as adults. Before I know it, one for another, harsh, scathing words are being spoken.
It's not a joke! Will you guys listen to me first? I saw something in the house earlier. It stood right in front of me.
Yes, it did.
If I hadn't gotten away, that thing might have.
Right. And in broad daylight, Isabella. Even someone gullible would find the logic in that screwed up.
There's also no way in hell that this supernatural shit is true.
But it's real! What do you think I saw?
It is definitely real.
A hallucination? A delusion? Didn't you say you fell down some stairs? So maybe Rebecca's right.
It happened after, when I was trying to get away. I almost got stuck in the same room with that thing. We're all in danger. I thought you were my friends. Why don't you believe me?
But someone has to be patient in all this, and however much my own has already been frayed earlier, there's no one else. Who else here can deal with someone selfishly acting like a kid? Like every other time, it has to be me.
We are, and you know that. But this thing and that thing has got nothing to do with the other. When Rose called earlier, I thought she's just exaggerating. But based on what I'm seeing right now, maybe it's better if we really postpone this for now.
Don't bother.
Just like that, she cuts us off, slams the door right in our faces while my own temper flares before I can stop it, although it falters briefly at the hard expression on her. She snatches the blasted paper from Ashton and I hold onto it. Regardless of how upset she seems, and soured expression, bald fist, throwing tantrum is simply unacceptable. Or going on at that. Words form at the top of my tongue, ready. Before I can open my mouth and let it all out, all of a sudden, revealing some mistakes beat him, Zachary raises a voice of his own.
Guys!
Warning underneath the calm, warm, and hopeful beat of his voice. We all stop and look at him. Even my own anger subsides a little at his tone.
Why don't we all calm down first? I'm sure Isabella has her reasons too. No need to be hard on her. And hey, ain't this supposed to be a happy get-together?
To an outsider, it may seem like a desperate request, but Zachary has always been the one to keep a level head over petty squabbles. Yes, Zachary, best character. This time no different, he knows what to say, and when he lets it fall, they only ring sharp and true.
We haven't seen each other for months. I'd really love to know what y'all have been up to. I only ever get to talk to Bella over chat. Please.
And as careful as he is with his own tone, it does make me feel ashamed. We're supposed to be here for him, to give what little spark we can give, and yet here he is trying to keep 3 stubborn people from outright hashing it out in public. Later we can and we will talk about it, of course. There's a proper time and place for it, and at the moment my anger and whatsoever commands it carries no longer matter. Beside me, Ashton appears to have already caught on. The lines on his shoulders ease to something much more relaxed, his expression back to its usual nonchalant. Isabella, however, she stands perfectly still, her hands clasping the strands of her bag like a lifeline, eyes trained at some point near her shoes. There's no anger in her face, only undeniable hurt. And she's never been good at hiding what she thinks. Always the open book, always the one to wear her heart out in the open. When she looks up at her answer is also simple.
If we keep arguing here, we're going to miss the first few minutes.
Her lips are curled up in a smile, though lacking both its usual brightness and glee. It's a smile nonetheless. I've seen it countless times. It's the very same one she would show when she knows she has no choice, or simply when things get tough for her. But despite everything I already know about her, it still catches me off guard. In all honesty, I expect her to run, to balk at the first sight of losing this time. I won't even be surprised. 26, she is the youngest among the rest of us, less inexperienced, less accustomed to dealing with trivial quarrels like this. Yet here she is, holding herself and coping with it like how she would with matters concerning her family. Outside of that, to me, she has always been this childish, naive girl, watching the opposite play out right now. Somehow I find it difficult to wrap my head around.
Alright, that's the Isabella I know.
Oh, good. I thought for sure you were going to cry.
But I envy her.
What was that for?
Stop calling me a crybaby! I'm not one!
Oh, don't cry.
Stop it!
I envy her spirit, her warmth, her cheer, the shine in her eyes when she looks in the world How everything seems to simply fall back to a pleasant, lively rhythm with her around. How easily and tightly she fits into our lives, even with bonds only longer years could have forged, like a lost piece of a puzzle despite her jagged edges. How she draws people with her ease. How Ashton of all people can be drawn to her.
Okay, scaredy cat then.
That too. If you repeat that, I swear I'll.
Let's just go.
I make no effort keeping the bitterness from my tone. I let it seep, linger stiffly in the air as I avert my gaze from them, from their playful banter, their friendly teasing remarks, and Ashton's tender, affectionate smiles, all before the stabbing aches in my heart change into something too painful to bear. It's all in my head is what I'd often tell myself, and that's the way my heart rends at just the sight of them hurts, and like a coward I walk away from all of it, taking with me a small hope the movie will distract me away from these thoughts, because like this, it's easy to find something to hate in her. Oh my god. I'm waiting for the perfect moment to stop, and that's just already given way tonight when we leave the film fest. Unfortunately, there's nothing to improve my mood like I'm hoping. Neither does the muggy air that greets us upon stepping back into the noisy streets. Too busy, too loud, too many people taking what little space the sidewalk offers. It forces anyone to bump shoulders with those they barely know, let alone care about. On a normal evening, I probably wouldn't have minded the crowd nor the humid weather. It's not like any of them were bothering anyone. And yet, with what's admittedly a pleasant company, I can't bring myself to line up.
See you guys some other time.
Yeah. See ya.
Not even to return smiles Ashton and Zachary give us, but when we go. Not even to return the smiles Ashton and Zachary give us when we go our separate ways. Perhaps this started with Miss Cooper's call earlier than that. Maybe even the moment I left the bed this morning. Bloody hell, it couldn't have been because of that sodding letter for all I know. I couldn't care less at this point. All I want is to get a warm bath, sleep, and wait for this dreadful day to end. Now, if only Isabella would stop babbling, then maybe this dull throbbing at the side of my head wouldn't turn into a full-blown headache, too.
Zach did a pretty good job with his movie, didn't he? Even though Ash said he ran into some trouble late into filming. But I knew he had it in him. It's not like I didn't believe he couldn't do it. I mean, did you see his face after the credits rolled? All those months he worked on this, and everything's finally—
You weren't even watching.
Only the first minutes. I watched the rest of it, I swear.
Yeah, because there was a conversation happening in the beginning.
Besides, Ashton was the one who wouldn't stop asking questions.
Well, why do we still need to talk about this then? I liked it. Ash liked it. You liked it. Shouldn't you be telling that to Zachary in person? I'm sure he'll appreciate it better than I ever will.
I know that, but maybe there's something you want to say? Zach had you check the scripts before he went through everything, didn't he? You also worked on it, even if it was only for a short time. So, maybe you want to—
Now bother waiting for the rest. The moment I spot my car, I immediately make a quick beeline for it. Knowing her, this is merely another attempt at starting a conversation, just so we'll have something to fill the dead air, to replace the strained atmosphere we somehow walked into. One thing, the very thing I'm not too keen to deal with at present. Behind me, Isabella also changes our pace to match mine. Her soft strides growing brisk and uneven in order to catch up. A small part of me half expects she'll suddenly trip. She's not the clumsiest sort, but there are definitely times when she can be the least coordinated person on the planet.
Becca, hey! Oh no. Wait for me!
And people wonder why I worry. They're not really completely unfounded once you've already grown familiar with her habits, though right now, this is also at the very end of the list of things I want to think about. Sometimes it does become overbearing. Even her voice, as she calls after me, sounds nothing more than background noise to my ears now.
Rebecca, slow down, will you? Your car's not going to leave without us.
The sooner we get on the road, the earlier we can get home. It's Friday, in case you didn't notice.
I know what day it is, but the traffic's not going to magically disappear, even if we go there right now.
I don't want to hear that from you. Didn't you used to complain how horrendous the traffic is back home for you?
Yeah? But that doesn't have anything to do with this, Becca.
Okay. What do you want to do then? Wait it out? Walk? I just want to go home, Isabella. If you want to stay out here longer, I won't stop you. But leave me out of it. I'm not up for any other foolish excursions tonight.
I wasn't thinking about an excursion. I want to go home too. It's already late. It's just that you've been in this prickly mood since earlier. Are you really okay? Was it the cold? Or did something happen at school? Do you want to talk about it?
A long pause follows, and her holds everything she's been meaning to ask from the very start. I'm in no mood, but at the same time my hand stops short of unlocking my car and my grip on the handle tightens. I can feel her eyes boring on me, waiting, hoping patiently for any answers I'd give. She's the same as Zachary, they're bad liars, but when you talk to people like them, if you're not careful, they often leave you with no other choice but to admit the truth. Those exact same ones I can't voice. Despite my lack of response, she pushes on, surprisingly. This time her tone is quieter and more tentative than usual.
Was it because of the letter?
It's a well-meaning question, much like the rest of this talk. It's something in how she says it irks me.
If it is, I'm really sorry. I didn't mean to cause a scene. I did see something in the mansion, though. I wasn't lying about that.
But wherever she wants to take this, I no longer want to hear a word of it. Not at this minute, preferably never. Especially when there are already a million other things buzzing and prodding inside my head. Oh, Joey, I already get a choice toward the end. This cold caught up with me.
And during the open house, even if there were a lot of people around, there were weird things happening.
What to do the relationship, please? It went up, hell yes.
I don't know if there was anyone else who noticed, but I heard things. I'm sure it wasn't because I fell down the stairs. Even before that, in the attic,
Isabella?
Yeah?
I pause, though I don't let it last, only to give myself a small window to breathe, before I lay down the words between us with as much restraint my patience allows. But it's not much after everything. I can only hope Isabella will simply take them as they are. She can be stubborn as a mule when she wants to be.
This kind of conversation tonight. Look, it's been a long day. I think this cold also caught up with me, and I'm really exhausted. Can we talk about this some other time?
She blinks, and although disappointment flashes momentarily in her face, she gives me a curt nod. A relief enough for me. Perhaps the first time I generally feel it today, and as unpleasant as this day has been, seeing something go the way I anticipated takes the edge out of it. As even if lying through my teeth had to go with it.
Oh, alright. You should have just said so. I told you should have taken a full week off. Were you able to get the meds I brought you, though? Do you need anything? I could drop by the pharmacy for you.
Yeah, no need to fuss. A good night's sleep is all I need. I've been busy the whole day. I guess I should have listened to you and taken it easy. But we have exams to prepare for. It's one or the other, you know?
I knew it! Here I thought you were just upset about something. Even Ash looked a little bit worried about you.
It's fine. Let's just head home, okay? I'll make it up to you next time. Call me out to lunch or wherever, just... not right now.
Okay, but should you be driving? If you want, I can call a taxi for us. You'll hate paying the extra fees, but you'll be able to get some rest on the way home.
No, don't call a cab. I can manage driving at least. Just get in the car so we can be on our way.
I'm already opening the door and climbing to the seat before she can protest. After no other choice, she follows inside shortly, albeit with a bit of reluctance. The guilt from this will eat at me later, but for now, these little falsehoods are mine to bear and hide under. For now, this is the better choice. Better than pretending she doesn't exist or giving her vague answers. Definitely better than harsh words and outright lashing at her. Definitely. I can find a little comfort in that. Thankfully, if there's anything left to be spoken between us after, we won't have to discuss it on the way home. Or rather, we can't, because no sooner are they hit the road than Isabella dozes off. Despite my foul mood, I still end up suppressing the laughter. Once the first sounds of her breathing fill the air car.
Mama? Not your mom, Isabella.
Slow and steady, the quiet rhythm so completely unlike her, so far removed from every impression anyone has of her. A few faint whispers will occasionally come from her, but otherwise it's just us, the silence, and it's so utterly unexpected. Still a welcome break, of course. Peace and quiet is one thing you really get with her around, yet it's nowhere near comforting. It merely lends the air the strange clarity, every little sound, every single movement more palpable. And with it comes the unease. A jolt of surprise hits me. It's almost comical, as if this were a different situation. I accidentally dislodged my mobile from its seat on the dashboard when I swipe on the screen. Soon I was running blindly for it with my other hand, while keeping a steady eye on the road ahead. The voice crackles from the loudspeakers before I can put it back. Although muffled heavily by the service, I recognize the person on the other line from her triple tone alone.
Hello?
Miss Cooper.
Oh, you're still awake. Evening. I hope I didn't disturb you or anything. I know it's a bit late. Sorry about that. I just want to check on you and Isabella. That girl's still not answering her mobile. Were you able to meet up with her?
Yes. She's with me. We're on our way home.
Hello? What was that again? I can't hear you properly.
I thought that was just my head. I thought that was just my earbuds.
Sorry. Let me just fix this dumb phone.
My hand stops dead for a moment. I spare the device a brief glance, waiting. Seconds pass. Nothing happens, though. Frankly, I'm not sure what I'm expecting, but the lines of my mouth form to a frown regardless.
Miss Cooper?
Yes, still here.
Did you say something?
Just that I didn't get the last part. What were you saying again?
I was doing it again.
No, I thought you... Never mind. Must be the signal acting up.
There it is again.
Coming in?
What?
Is everything all right over there?
Certainly. Is something wrong? What wouldn't? Okay, you seem to be busy. If this is a good time, I can just call you back some,
I have to make a conscious effort not to panic then and there. Although my tight hold on the steering wheel tells a different story altogether.
Miss Cooper! Rose? Hey, Rose! Are you still there?
And the burst of stack interests me, and maybe this lapse is entirely because of exhaustion. It has been a long day, and I haven't fully recovered from last week's bout of flu, contrary to what I've been telling people. Though perhaps had I paid closer attention to it, had I not been so occupied with the thoughts, I probably would have noticed earlier that it never came from my phone, or if it's somewhere right behind me. Hey! Time slows to a crawl. Looking up is a mistake. The first thing I see is its face, a ghastly shade, every inch battered, bruised, and bloodied. Even in the darkness in the world passing by in a blur of lights outside, I can still make out the wounds. Blood still oozes from it, little trails of crimson running down his face, glistening under what little light there is. But it is the gleam in its eyes that catches me. Quiet plea, the anguish and the desperation in them, more than his hideous features and the awful stench of gore now soaking the air. And try as I might, I can't bring myself to look away, even as its lips contort into a horrific smile. Oh! Even as a sharp, harsh noise pierces the sound and the silence around us.
Rebecca! Huh? Car! Eyes on the road!
Against everything I've been taught, and I've constantly reminded myself, I close my eyes. It's a brief moment, a short, vivid second of muscle memory and instinct completely taking over, and if I didn't allow it, if my hands didn't move or my feet didn't hit the brakes in that exact second, I might have... Isabella, I might have... No. A shaking notion would far lose myself in it. Or now is an ugly line of thought I refuse to venture into. Not when my breathing is a struggle and every ounce of strength has been totally drained from my body. Most definitely not while Isabella's panicked voice beside me still rings in my ears. We're alive. We're safe. That's all that matters. But it is not her face that I look for when I open my eyes. And it's all gone. I expected stains, little telling marks and creases on the carpet to show me where it sat not a second ago. But whatever it is, it left not a single trace. And though courage is a hard thing to gather at this point, take what little bit remains in me and turn toward the back seat. Even then, there's none. Or was there really something in there in the first place? With how empty it is, I'm beginning to doubt it. Stupid fool.
I need a long rest after this.
My hands fall uselessly to my sides, numb from how taut my grip on the wheel has gone, yet still trembling from the unexpected rush of adrenaline. Against my ears, my heart still pounds in erratic rhythm, and my breathing hasn't slowed down. But the world has already created itself without waiting for me, little by little, second after second. As I sit there motionless, color begins to seep back around me. Along with it are the sounds in my voice, and no longer the indistinct ringing it was earlier.
Becca! Becca! Are you okay? Answer me, will you? You're scaring me! You know what? I think we should just call a taxi since...
Can you keep it down?
Strained, harsh, and completely unintentional. But with heat prickling at the back of my eyes and the mouth throbbing in my temple, I could honestly do with a little silence right now.
Keep it down? We almost crashed, Becca!
I know what happened. It was a lapse. I'm sorry.
A lapse? You call that a lapse? Becca, I really don't want to end up a mangled mess on the side of the road, or a mangled mess anywhere. All I'm asking, if the time ever comes, which I hope isn't right now, is a peaceful death. Give that one to me at least. Not that I'm asking for it, but please.
Isabella. Belle, you're overreacting. If you're so worried, why don't you drive?
Don't have a license.
I keep telling you to get one, didn't I? For the past 5 years. Do you see why now?
I wasn't really expecting to stay here this long. I thought it'd just be for a year or two.
All of a sudden, a pensive mood comes over her. Isabel looks away. Then, what's left of my little lecture never crosses the tip of my tongue. I don't allow it to, because in each of those words she'd let loose earlier is a small truth. Her stay has always been meant to be something fleeting. Earn some good money, go home. It's what she told herself during her first year here. Now, half a decade later, I'm not sure if she still believes that. Even I'm not sure if I still believe it. And if there's something in her reasons that has changed along the way, even if I already have a hunch, it's one thing I'll never bother to ask. Those are hers to keep.
I'll be careful this time, I promise. Just please, can we give this whole thing a rest for now?
She nods, and that is the end of it. We spend the rest of the trip back to Samwell in silence. All the thoughts of an overactive imagination playing tricks on a flew-addled mind, and smiles never meant for my eyes abandoned, if only for a brief moment. ... Okay, finally, I can stop this part. Oh my god, I'm fine. I was wanting to record until it gets to another day, because I have the time to record however long it took. And apparently that means over an hour. Okay. That was I forget, but it's the first part with Rebecca. And I didn't mean to, actually I planned to record a longer video for this one, but I wasn't expecting to go to past an hour. That was not planned, but it ended up happening anyway. Oops. But I wanted to do up until where it went to a different day, because I feel like that's a good stopping point for this game. So anyway, hope you enjoyed. If you did, subscribe, check out other stuff I've done, and see you next time, hopefully. Bye bye.